And Venezuela's earthquake death toll rises to 235.
In other details, President Bola Tinubu has reaffirmed Nigeria's commitment to tackling substance abuse and illicit drug day in Abuja at the grand finale of activities marking the 2026 International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking, represented by Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Mr. Lateef Fagbemi, SAN. The President stressed the need for all hands to be on deck to tackle the menace of drug abuse. He noted that the consequences of substance abuse extend beyond individuals, disrupting families, schools, workplaces, and national security, saying the federal government has put coordinated and multi-pronged strategy in place.
Meanwhile, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, Oluyole State Command, has commemorated the 2026 United Nations International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking with a renewed call for stronger collaboration among stakeholders to address the growing global drug problem. The event brought together government officials, health professionals, security agencies, educators, youth organizations, and members of the public to promote greater awareness of the dangers of drug abuse and the need for coordinated action. Staff reporter Olubunmi Lawal brings the details.
The 2026 United Nations International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking provided another platform for stakeholders to reflect on the evolving nature of the global drug challenge and the urgent need for collective action. Delivering the keynote lecture, Dr. Remi Oladele observed that while significant progress has been recorded in combating drug trafficking and substance abuse, emerging threats such as the proliferation of synthetic drugs, the misuse of prescription medicines, and the increasing use of digital platforms by drug traffickers continue to pose serious concerns. He stressed that these evolving challenges require innovative evidence-based responses that combine prevention, treatment, rehabilitation, and effective law enforcement. Dr. Oladele also highlighted the devastating consequences of drug abuse, including poor physical and mental health, family disintegration, school dropouts, unemployment, criminal activities, and reduced productivity. He urged young people to resist peer pressure and avoid experimenting with illicit substances, emphasizing that prevention remains the most effective strategy for tackling substance abuse.
Every parent, every ward, every guardian must know that it's their responsibility to train their children or everybody they are looking after and properly educate them about the menace of drug. And of course, this also extends to the community leaders, religious leaders, corporate organizations in the communities. We all have a way, one role or the other to play in terms of, educating people working with us, people under us.
In his opening remarks, the Deputy Commander, Counseling, Treatment and Rehabilitation, DCN Ajanoku Babatoyin, described drug abuse and illicit trafficking as persistent threats to public health and national security. He noted that the emergence of digital platforms has created new dimensions to the drug problem, requiring stronger partnerships and innovative approaches to prevention and enforcement.
The fight against drug abuse is not a responsibility of one agency. It is required the collective effort from parents, teachers, faith leaders, healthcare professionals, community and organization, government institutions, and young people themselves.
In their separate goodwill messages, stakeholders called on governments at all levels to invest more in drug prevention programs, expand access to treatment and rehabilitation services, strengthen border security, and deploy modern technologies to disrupt organized drug trafficking networks. Sharing his personal experience, a rehabilitated victim of drug abuse cautioned young people against the use of hard drugs and urged them to be mindful of negative peer influence, noting that recovery is possible with determination and the right supports. The event ended with a renewed commitment by stakeholders to strengthen collaboration in reducing drug abuse, supporting rehabilitation, and promoting safer and healthier communities. Participants agreed that tackling the world drug problem requires sustained partnerships, continuous public education, and innovative strategies capable of addressing both long-standing and emerging challenges. Olubumi Lawal, BCOS News.
A federal high court sitting in Abuja has sentenced a Boko Haram member, Alkali Yarima, also known as Lahari, to death by hanging for his role in the 2015 terrorist attacks on Maiduguri, the Borno state capital. Delivering judgment today, Justice James Omotosho convicted Yarima on the 7-count terrorism charge brought against him by the federal government. Justice Omotosho also imposed a life sentence on count 6 after finding him guilty of receiving arms and weapons training in preparation for terrorist act. In addition, the court sentenced Yarima to 35 years imprisonment on count 1, 30 years on count 5, and 10 years each on count 2, 3, and 4. It was reported that the federal government arraigned Yarima on the case, which began at Kainji in Niger State, but was later concluded at the Federal High Court in Abuja.
The troops of Sector 2, 135 Special Forces Battalion under Operation Handikai have dismantled Jazz A-swapped tourist roadblock mounted along the Buratai-Kamoya Road in the Biu local government area of Borno State, rescuing 53 civilians and recovering 8 vehicles. This was disclosed in a statement today by Acting Military Information Officer of the command, Captain Muhammad Goni, who noted that the operation took place on Wednesday when the blockage was noticed through surveillance cameras. Captain Goni added that a quick reaction force QRF team immediately mobilized to the scene and pursued the insurgents toward the Magari Dora general area, made contact and engaged the tourists in a firefight, forcing them to withdraw in confusion. He added that all the rescued persons, recovered vehicles and properties were safely moved to Buratai town and are currently undergoing documentation and medical evaluations.
In a related development, troops of Sector 9 Operation Enduring Peace deployed in Namu Town, Kokanpan LGA of Plateau State, conducted a deliberate offensive operation leading to the rescue of 8 kidnapped victims at Pandam Forest in Kokanpan local government area of Plateau State. This was contained in a press statement signed by Captain Chinonso Te, Media Information Officer, Joint Task Force Operation Enduring Peace, and made available to journalists in Jos, the state capital. According to him, the operation conducted following credible intelligence regarding the presence of kidnappers in the forest highlights the troops' unwavering commitment to restoring peace and security. The information officer said during the operation, troops engaged in a firefight with the suspected kidnappers who fired sporadically in an attempt to withdraw, leading to the escape of 3 kidnapped victims. He added that the subsequent exploitation and thorough combing of the forest by the troops led to the rescue of an additional 5 abducted victims, bringing the total numbers of rescued individuals to 8.
6 Nigerians detained in the Republic of Cote d'Ivoire since October 2025 over alleged economic crimes have regained their freedom following diplomatic intervention by the federal government. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs disclosed this in a statement today by its spokesperson, Kimebe Ebiefa. According to the ministry, 4 of the detainees were released on Monday, the 22nd of June, while the remaining 2 regained their freedom on Tuesday, the 23rd of June. It said the release followed sustained diplomatic and consular engagements by the Nigerian embassy in Abidjan with the relevant Ivorian authorities. The ministry commended the Nigerian ambassador to Cote d'Ivoire, Mbambiola Ezewa, and officials of the embassy for their efforts in securing the release of the detainees. The ministry also advised Nigerians living or traveling abroad to obey the laws of their host countries and maintain contact with the nearest Nigerian diplomatic mission wherever necessary or whenever necessary.
This broadcast of Newscope comes to you from the Broadcasting Corporation of Oyo State, Ibadan. The Oyo State Government has inaugurated the third assembly of the State Youth Parliament, charging the newly elected legislators to uphold dialogue, integrity and accountability while championing policies that will positively impact young people across the state. The inauguration ceremony held in Ibadan also featured the election of principal officers of the parliament. BCOS reporter Folashade Akintola was at the inauguration.
The inauguration marks another milestone in Oyo State's commitment to youth inclusion in governance, bringing together government officials, lawmakers, youth leaders, and other stakeholders from across the state. Delivering a keynote address on behalf of Governor Seyi Makinde, the Secretary to the State Government, Professor Musiba Babatunde, urged members of the Youth Parliament to place dialogue above divisions and ideas above sentiment in the discharge of their responsibilities. He congratulated the newly inaugurated members and expressed confidence that they will have a successful and impactful tenure.
Governor Seyi Makinde remains dedicated to creating opportunities for young people through education, skills development, entrepreneurship support, technology, sports, and meaningful participation in governance. We believe that when young people are empowered, society becomes stronger and the future becomes brighter.
In their goodwill messages, the governorship candidate of the Alliance People Movement, APM, Bimbo Adekombi, chairman of the House Committee on Youth and Sport, Honorable Adebisi Yusuf, representing Speaker of the Oyo State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Adebo Ogundoyin, and Honorable Sikiru Sonda, encouraged the young lawmakers to remain connected to their constituency. They urged the legislators to work closely with the local government chairmen and elected representatives to initiate programs that will address the needs and aspirations of young people at the grassroots.
Somebody that is in the upper house of the legislature was able to examine it and know that it's coming from a very sound place. The next government to have in your state, you can look at the succession. It's been from older to youth, and Governor Makinde is about to hand over the youth to in 2027. That speaks your language, that knows innovation, that has had practical experience in putting structure in place to make sure that can measure what is in place, and correct what needs to be corrected and give you opportunity.
Earlier, the chairman of the Oyo State Agency for Youth Development, Honorable Falana Adebayo, described the inauguration as a significant milestone in the state's drive to promote youth leadership and active participation in governance.
We want to appreciate him for this platform, and I can already say today is historical. We've selected and inaugurated the third youth parliament, and I believe, as you can see, the executive arm and the legislative arm of the government, they are all here present to witness it, and those youths, they've seen that they are in the safe hand for better tomorrow.
Following the inauguration, Honorable Oyekola Marvelous, representing Oyo East and Oyo West constituency, emerged as Speaker of the 3rd Oyo State Youth Parliament, while Honorable Afolabi Fatia, representing Ibadan Southwest constituency, was elected Deputy Speaker. In his acceptance speech, the Speaker appreciated Governor Seyi Makinde and other stakeholders for sustaining the Youth Parliament initiative, promising that members will remain committed to promote youth-centered legislation, advocacy, and development. The inauguration of the 3rd Oyo State Youth Parliament is expected to further strengthen youth participation in governance by promoting a platform for young people to contribute meaningfully to policy formulation, leadership development, and democratic governance in Oyo State. Among dignitaries at the event were the Honorable Wolabi, Honorable Babajide Adebayo, Honorable Bernard Akika, Clerk of the Oyo State House of Assembly, Mrs. Taiwo Akweola, Chairman of Broadcasting Corporation of Oyo State, Chief Mrs. Dotun Olaitan, as well as other government officials and youth stakeholders. Folashade Akintola, BCOS News.
The government has extended curfew in 10 local government areas by 24 hours. The state governor, Engineer Seyi Makinde, approved the extension in a memo made available by the Secretary to the State Government, Professor Musiba Babatunde. This was disclosed in a press release signed by Special Advisor Media to the Governor, Dr. Sulaiman Olanrewaju. It will be recalled that the state government had on Tuesday, the 23rd of June 2026, announced the 4 p.m. to 8 a.m. curfew in 10 local government areas. The affected local government areas include Orire, Orilope, Irepo, Shaki West, Shaki East, Atisbo, Itesiwaju, Ìṣẹ̀yìn, Olonsogo, Atiba. With this extension, the curfew, which was to last for 48 hours in the first instance, will continue to 8 a.m. on Saturday, the 27th of June, 2026.
The Aresa Adu of Iresa Adu, His Royal Majesty Oba Abraham Oyewinde, has appealed to Oyo State Governor Engineer Seyi Makinde to intervene in what he described as the prolonged withholding of his official recognition, entitlements and privileges. At a press conference in Ibadan, the Monarchs Council, Stephen Raji, also alleged plans by officials of the Ministry of Local Government and Chieftaincy Matters to facilitate the emergence of a parallel traditional ruler, despite court judgments affirming the monarch's appointment. Staff reporter Adebayo Abdurrafi was at the NUJ Press Center, Iyagunku Ibadan, venue of the press conference.
Counsel to the Aresadu of Iresadu, Barrister Stephen Raji, flanked by Chief Olubenga Ojetunde, said the press conference became necessary to draw public attention to what he described as persistent injustice against the traditional ruler, despite previous appeals to the state government. According to him, Oba Abraham Adeyeye was duly appointed as the substantive Aresadu of Iresadu in May 2019 and has remained the recognized occupant of the throne. Barrister Raji alleged that the Ministry of Local Government and Chieftaincy Matters issued a letter in September 2025 directing Surulere Local Government to begin the process of appointing another Aresadu, claiming the monarch had been removed by a court judgment. He, however, maintained that no such judgment exists, insisting that several court decisions, including judgments of the Oyo State High Court, affirmed the appointment of Oba Adeyeye and dismissed challenges to his emergence.
Chieftaincy declaration has been registered instead of this chieftaincy, making it a recognized ruling house chieftaincy. It no longer has a consenting authority. Rather, Aresadu of Iresadu itself becomes consenting authority to lesser minor chieftaincies. But shockingly, my client's representatives were informed that they needed to make representation to the Olumo of Orilegbon so that his appointment can be recognized by government.
The council further alleged that despite legal advice from the Ministry of Justice recommending that the monarch be accorded full recognition, the Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Matters had failed to implement the advice. He also claimed that the continued withholding of the monarch's official recognition had created confusion within the community, encouraging unlawful activities and preventing the traditional ruler from carrying out his constitutional and traditional responsibilities. The legal representative expressed concern that the situation could undermine security and peaceful administration in Iresadu, particularly at a time when traditional rulers are expected to support government's efforts in maintaining law and order.
They wrote that on the Aresadu from the Ministry of Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs, they wrote that His Excellency Governor Makinde has directed that every activity, every process on the Aresadu of Iresadu be stopped. When no such directive was given by government, we wrote to make inquiries as to how this letter came about, and the ministry wrote a response to deny, disown that letter, that the letter never emanated from them, that they never knew who wrote those letters. But that letter actually flew out of the ministry, written to the chairman of Surulere Local Government to stop any recognition of Oba Abraham Adeyeye as Aresadu of Iresadu.
Among their demands, the Aresadu's representatives called on Governor Seyi Makinde to immediately approve the monarch's outstanding entitlements and official paraphernalia of office. They also urged the Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Matters to withdraw the September 2025 letter allegedly directing the nomination of a parallel Aresadu and called for an investigation into officials accused of acts they described as abuse of office. The group further appealed to the governor to ensure that the monarch is allowed to perform the full functions of his office pending any lawful directive to the contrary. Adebayo Abdurrafi, BCOS News.
A federal high court in Lokoja has set aside its earlier judgment directing the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to register the Nigeria Democratic Congress (NDC) as a political party. Justice Isa Dashin ruled today that the earlier judgment affected the rights of the Peace Movement Party (PMP), which was not included in the case despite claiming ownership of the logo used by the NDC. Lawyer to the PMP, C.S. Ekeocha, said the party approached the court after discovering that the NDC's registration was based on a logo it had earlier submitted to INEC before the case began. Ekeocha said the ruling means all actions taken by INEC based on the earlier judgment have been reversed. He said the main case is still before the court, noting that the ruling means the dispute over the registration of the NDC will return to the Federal High Court for a fresh hearing with all relevant parties participating.
The Lagos State government said it will proceed with the demolition of all structurally defective buildings earlier marked for removal in the Alakija area of Amuwo-Odofin local government area. This follows the collapse of a 3-story building that left 9 people dead and 27 others rescued. The decision was announced after emergency responders concluded rescue operations at the scene of the tragedy. Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Mr. Gbenga Omotosho, made this known while addressing journalists during an inspection of the site on behalf of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu. Omotosho extended condolences to the families of the deceased and reiterated the government resolve to safeguard lives by strictly adhering to building regulations.
On the foreign scene, desperate Venezuelans raced to find and rescue loved ones trapped alive beneath the rubble of collapsed buildings after 2 major earthquakes that killed at least 235 people. Buildings cracked, crumbled, and tilted miraculously after the quakes, which the United States Geological Survey measured as at magnitude 7.2 and 7.5. hit northern Venezuela within less than a minute of each other on Wednesday night. Powerful aftershocks were still felt yesterday, and Health Minister Carlos Alvarado reported that the death toll had risen to at least 235, with around 4,300 people injured. Rescue efforts moved slowly, with bodies still visible under debris hours after the quakes, while time ran out for some of those who were trapped and injured, crying for help. A rescue worker speaking off the record told newsmen that conditions were precarious with a shortage of trained personnel and significant technical limitations.
To end this edition of Newscope, here again are the main points. President Bola Tinubu has reaffirmed Nigeria's commitment to tackling substance abuse and illicit drug trafficking through evidence-based and innovative interventions.
A federal high court sitting in Abuja has sentenced a Boko Haram member, Alkali Yarima, also known as Lahari, to death by hanging for his role in the 2015 terrorist attacks on Maiduguri, the Borno state capital.
The Oluyole State government has inaugurated the 3rd assembly of the State Youth Parliament, charging the newly elected legislators to uphold dialogue, integrity and accountability while championing policies that will positively impact young people across the state.
And on foreign scene, desperate Venezuelans raced to find and rescue loved ones trapped alive beneath the rubble of collapsed buildings after 2 major earthquakes that killed at least 235 people.
If you see something suspicious, alert the authorities immediately for timely response. Be vigilant. That's all from Newscope desk for now. It was packaged by Ajedoyin Olojede and delivered by
Josephine Oluwabumi. Good evening.
And Tabitha Komolafe. Thanks for listening, and do not forget to tune in for the Yoruba version at 8 p.m. Good evening.
The news. Oluyole FM 98.
Our people better they come home. This one no be why you talk. No more suffer again. Make we no lose hope. Oh, we must all come together, work together, save our nation. Because better development, no they possible unless we work together. Oh, this talk no be why you talk. Our people go survive, no more mago again. Help our motherland. This one no why you talk. Our land go better, no more mago again. Help our motherland. Musical interlude. My brother better they come on. This talk no be why you talk.